Hello, thanks for tuning in and welcome to the pool party. I hope you can swim because we're definitely diving into the deep end with a huge splash of truth, facts, evidence, information, and proof. Swim. Say what you mean. It's talk about talking. How we listen, how we hear, how we speak, how we hear what we're listening to when we speak, how a listener hears what we're saying, if what we're saying, what they're actually hearing and or understanding. Is it clear? Swim. Say what you mean. Well, that's just the beginning of understanding, because after we get that understanding, how do we accept it? How we respond if it's not what we expect is paramount. Are you okay with the truth? Are you man, woman, human, or spiritual enough to accept the truth? Let's find out. Welcome to The Swimming Pool with your host, Travis Bridges.
Bam! Good evening and welcome to The Swimming Pool. I am your host, Travis Bridges, and thank you so much for joining me this evening. I really appreciate it. This is the first time I've gone live in a very, very long time, and I almost don't know how to act. Really, I don't. So just be patient with me if I can try to remember all my bells and whistles and you know what I'm supposed to do and how I'm supposed to do it. I just could not let it be a Wednesday, which is my typical night of going live on Swim, and then this being like, you know, election day / or post-election, you know, in the United States of America, and I just had to just come on. So here we go. I'm going to talk a little bit. I don't know a lot about politics at all, but I know what I feel here. I know what I hear here, and I know what I think right here. So I don't have to know a lot, but my intuition does speak to me, and I do have a little something to say in regards to the outcome. Congratulations to the United States of America. There is a new leadership in place, and I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to happen. I'm hoping that it's going to be good, well, and fine. I said even before the election, whoever wins, I'm going to respect the office because that's just me, and I will get behind whoever won. If it was Kamala Harris, so be it. If it's Donald Trump, so be it. We are still the United States of America, and we still have a long ways to go to continue to try to be the greatest. So with that being said, I have two videos, one at the end that's going to complement what I'm going to talk about, and then I have one in the description that's a little longer. So I'm going to try to be out of here in about maybe 15-20 minutes or so. I always say that, and then I try to shoot for that time. So anyway, like Joel Osteen, I like to start with something funny. So I have a little joke I want to tell. I heard this a long time ago, and I'm going to try to tell it right now. Okay, you ready? All right. There was this man who had this terrible pain in his eye, and he just didn't know what to do about it. So he went to see the doctor, and the doctor said, "Man, it doesn't make sense to me. When do you have the pain the most?" He said, "It happens every morning when I drink my coffee." He says, "You know, I'm doing fine. Everything is cool. You know, I make my coffee, and then when I drink it, you know, there's this pain in my right eye as soon as I start to take a sip." He said, "I don't know what. I tell you what, I'll just give you some pain pills. You go home and come and see me in a few days and let me know." He said, "Okay, fine." He goes home 3 or 4 days. He comes back. He said, "Doc, it's getting worse. Can't you see it's a little red right here?" The doctor said, "Oh, yeah, I can see. I don't know what to do. I tell you what we'll do. We'll do a study. So you're going to sleep here, and then in the morning, we're going to put these wires on you, and we're going to see exactly what happens when you drink your coffee, and so we can get rid of this pain." He said, I think that's good. That's a good idea, Doc, because, you know, it doesn't happen, you know, when I'm here, but, you know, with you watching, maybe it'll happen. So they did the sleep study. He woke up early in the morning. They hooked the wires up on him and everything. The staff was standing by and everything. So the doctor was watching. So he made his coffee. He put his cream and his everything in. So he said, okay, now we're ready. You ready? The cameras were rolling. Everybody was watching. So he picked up his coffee and he started to sip. And he said, there it is, doc. There it is. You see? There it is. It's the pain right now. And the doctor said, okay, never mind. All right, put the cup down. He told everybody to get out, turn the cameras off, just go, everybody go. So everybody was shaking their head, walking out like this. So he said, doc, what happened? Why did you stop this test? He said, just what? He said, just hold on. He let everybody go out the room. He said, okay, I want you to do it one more time, okay? No one's here. It's just you and me. He says, are you sure, doc? He said, yes. So he took a sip of his coffee and he said, oh, there it goes, doc. And the doc looked at him right in his face. He said, fool, take the spoon out of the cup. Okay, maybe that wasn't funny to you, but there's a message in that. This guy was causing his own problem by drinking coffee with the spoon still in the cup. So every time he'd lift, the spoon would poke him in the eye. And anyway, the point I wanted to make is this. We have to take a look at our actions. We have to take responsibility for what we do to cause any problem we have. The moment you have a problem, the first thing we want to do is look at someone else, look at something else, look at the environment. And that's how we get by. If we can pass the buck, if we can call someone else's name when it's our responsibility, we can really feed our ego. And I'm going to tell you something, this is perfect timing for me because I've been in a season, of where I've needed to take full responsibility for, my actions and my circumstances. And it would be so easy every time to call someone else's name and say, this is the reason why I feel this way, or this is the reason why this happened. But I told that little joke, for myself, and maybe you can get something out of it. It's very important that we take a look at what we are contributing to our problems, relationships, jobs, family, home. We can always say, my wife did it, my husband did it, my sister, my brother, my neighbor next door, this, that, or the other. It's hardly ever what happens, but how we respond to it. And I'm getting to be an old man, it seems like, and I'm learning a lot about focusing on myself. I've always liked the mirror, and I've always liked being okay with addressing things. I'm not an avoidant. I'm learning that word also. I'm not an avoidant. If I have a problem with something or someone, the first thing I want to do is let's reason. Let's talk about it. Sometimes you have to talk about it more than once. And of course, if you get tired of talking, there has to be time out and a quitting time. My mama used to say, I ain't talking no more. After she said what she needed to say a few times, she would pull out her weapons and get to work. And I understood that. What I'm talking about is being willing to focus on yourself when there is a problem. If you're responsible for something, and we're all responsible for ourselves, particularly how we feel, we have to check and not so much be ready to blame someone else or blame something else. I said that to say that's one of my most recent lessons, and I'm growing. As they say, I'm doing the work, and I'm okay with that. But that turns me to the election. Now, if you haven't heard, Donald Trump is the new president-elect of the United States. He beat out Vice President Kamala Harris, and it is what it is. You would have never thought that everything they said about him, everything they did to him, everything that he had on him in terms of not looking like he could return and actually win, you would have never thought that he would have won. And I said many times, I don't have a dog in the fight. I just hope that the best person wins. And to be honest with you, as much as I thought, Kamala Harris was pretty, I did think maybe he might have been a little more qualified, to actually run the country. Sure, she can stand and hold a place, but it's just me. I mean, I don't know. If she had won, I totally would have, supported her efforts. But with that being said, during the campaign, this is one thing I noticed, her in particular, and we could talk all day and night about both candidates, but this is something that stood out more to me. Every time someone would ask her a question, the first thing, if she didn't say she was brought up in a middle-class family, she would talk about Donald Trump, Donald Trump, Donald Trump. Anytime someone would ask her to be accountable for what she was involved in over the past 3.5 to 4 years, she would hardly ever take responsibility. Now, maybe he did the same thing, but this is what stood out with her being the new kid on the block. I never heard her take responsibility. And I don't care how pretty you make something look. People are smart. And I believe the American public saw through many of those things that they were trying to put up, as it related to her. 3.5 years ago, she was considered the least popular vice president ever. And she didn't say much. She was totally in the dark until the switch came a few months ago. She became the greatest and the best. And you just can't snow over people just because you get a pretty face and a soft voice and a stern, firm sound. You can't just make something up. And that's what I believe her party, intended to do. They just cleaned her up really fast, put her in front of the American public, and there you go. It was neck and neck. She had Donald Trump on the ropes. I remember that one debate she did, she sounded and looked so proud. And, I was concerned. It's like, it didn't seem like Donald Trump showed up. And of course, the moderators did not help at all. But it did not look good for him. And as I was thinking about it today, I was reminded of so many people that were considered bad, and I like to reference the Bible. There are many other books, and, I just reference the Bible just because there were many people, David, Paul, for sure, Gideon, Moses, people who were not perfect, but were mightily used to make life better for people. And I think that's what he said. He said, someone told him that it was God who protected him from those 2 assassination attempts because he had work to do. Is he perfect? No. Does he get on my nerves? Yes. Even sometimes the way he looks kind of sort of, bothers me a little bit. I don't know what it bothers, but I believe he may have what it takes to help. One thing, I believe he's going to do what he says he's going to do, particularly in terms of, the border and some of the things with, with tariffs. Anyway, I don't want to get into it. I had a good feeling that, neither one of them were, I guess, so much ideal, but knowing that at least one had to win, I'm okay with the results regardless of what it had been. If it had been, her, fine, it's him. Now, as Americans, we have to do what we have to do to make sure that we are all, okay. With that being said, I just want to reflect on taking responsibility for what we are responsible for. And if there was anything that she may not have looked good on or about, it had to do with whether or not she would take responsibility for the questions that were asked. With that being said, I'm going to try to go. I have a video from one of my favorites. I watched Andy Griffith coming up. I forced my son to watch it as a kid, and it's one of, my favorites. And there is a clip at the end of my live stream that I'm going to play. It's talking about taking responsibility, and in the description, there's a link for Dr. Myles Munroe. He goes a little more in depth in regards to taking responsibility. When we have, when we have been given, responsibility. So I think it goes like this: with great power comes great responsibility, or something like that. And I want to talk about my son in terms of being able to get over stuff. I'm switching gears right now. My son is a whole lot different from me. I wonder sometimes who raised that boy. Of course, I had my part in that, but I know my personality is that of peace. I don't like strife. I have this need to want to make things good, right with people. There's one thing I know: you can't make anyone do anything. If someone has it in for you, they're going to have it in for you. And I don't care how much you talk, how much you try to prove yourself, or how much you try to explain yourself. When someone has their thoughts in their head, there's nothing you can do. My son has this way of being able to let things go real easy. And I pray that anointing on him fall on me, that I'm able to do that. I'm just not that good at just letting things go. The good thing about it, though, is once I do let it go, I always wonder what took me so long. So I guess as old as I am, I still have some growing to do in terms of being able to get over things. And I think that's what, President-elect and the comeback kid has done. He has gotten over those things, those trials. I don't want to get into that. My mind is telling me one thing, and my mouth is saying, hey, don't get into that. But that's one of the greatest comebacks. You would have never thought that he would have become the president after all of the smears. And that's how I'm going to close. You can count someone out. You can put bad mouth on someone. You can lie, cheat, and steal. You can talk all you want to about how bad someone else is. But until you look into the mirror, you're going to always be talking and blaming and complaining about someone else. With that being said, congratulations to the United States. And I wish nothing but the best. I am a proud American, although I like to travel abroad, and I'm finding, excellent places to visit, and more places that are on my list abroad that I hope to be a part of. I'm a proud American, and I'm proud of the election, and I'm okay with the turnout. With that being said, I'm going to go now. Find someone you need to say I love you to. Don't just say it. Show it. Mean it. Let it be true. Don't count people out too fast, because the same people you put down and treat bad, they will be the ones to come back and surprise you. With that being said, I'm going to play this clip, one of my favorites. It has to do with taking responsibility. Here's hoping that you have a wonderful Trump Day. Did I say Trump Day or Hump Day? Anyway, have a good night. Ciao.
Paul? You in a good mood?
Yeah, why?
If I tell you something, would you promise not to get mad?
Well, it all depends. What is it?
Well, it ain't hardly worth mentioning, but I think I better mention it. You know that old window on Mrs. Pretty's back door?
Yeah.
Someone threw a ball and busted it.
Would you by any chance be that someone?
You mad, Paul?
No, I'm not mad. Promise you won't get mad. You won't get an allowance till that window's paid for. Okay?
Okay, Paul.
Make way for the ice cream.
Oh, boy!
Strawberries to go in it.
Strawberries.
Come on, Oak.
Get the hand up. Well,
Sheriff?
Huh?
Weren't you sort of rough on the kid?
How's that?
Well, why don't you bail the little fella out?
Bail him out?
Well, yeah, it's just a window.
Oh. Yeah, I guess I could bail him out, like you say. But the only trouble with that, if I was to do that, why, every time he'd get in trouble, he'd be expecting me to come to the rescue, don't you see? This time it's a broken window. Later on, it'd be something bigger, and then something bigger than that. Now, he's got to learn to stand on his own two legs now. I got to keep that young'un straight.
Well, I was hoping we could do this the easy way. However, will you come in, please? I want to ask you a few questions, Mr. Dilbeck. Wouldn't you say that that old truck of yours is a traffic hazard? And furthermore, isn't it true that you were driving on the wrong side of the road and that the Bailey boy did not hit you? In fact, you sideswiped his car. Therefore, it was your fault and not his. Isn't that true, Mr. Dilbeck?
What'd you say, Fletch?
Go on. Tell him it's true. Well, Sheriff, what do you say to that?
Well, I'll say I hope Fletch enjoys his new truck, 'cause I got a feeling he's gonna be a driving one. All right, Mr. Harrington, you win.
Just a second, Mr. Harrington. That's not the way it happened.
Huh?
The accident was my fault.
Now, Ron, you leave this to me.
No, I'd rather not leave it to you.
Look, boy, I'm trying to help.
Well, I know that, Mr. Harrington, but the fact is that,
What are you trying to say?
well, it's very difficult to put into words. It's just that it didn't happen the way you say.
Your father will never understand this.
Yeah, I know that.
What can I possibly tell him?
Why don't you tell Mr. Bailey that the boy busted a window and wants to stand on his own two legs?
Now, I remember that episode very well, and I'm supposed to be gone now, but after watching it again, you may not have seen that. What happened was there was an accident in the street, and the young guy that was in the jail cell, you know, he did sideswipe, and, you know, he was the one at fault. But the boy's father was rich, and he hired that attorney to come in and frame the man and have him to come in and say it was his fault so that the boy could get off the hook. But the boy had learned his lesson about taking responsibilities, and he decided to have a heart. And that's what happened. You know, people will frame you. People will lie on you. They will do whatever it takes so that they can feel good, so that you can become the bad person. But there's something about getting over and getting past that. I am definitely a witness. Vicky Wine to say, I've been lied on, cheated, talked about, mistreated, I've been viewed. Well, you know the song. Anyway, you know, people will do and say things so that you can feel bad, so that they can get through whatever that moment is. But there's something about being humble and taking responsibility. And the truth always finds its way to the surface. So if you're down now for whatever reason, Donald Trump 4 years ago, the time will come back. And of course, he's not perfect. You may not be perfect. Just remember to take accountability when you know you have done something bad or wrong. And know that trouble don't last always. With that being said, I'm really going now. Have a good night. Check out in the description. There's another clip, rather. It's a link from Dr. MYLES, you know, about taking responsibility. It's really good. Check it out. Have a good night.
SWYM. Swim. Say what you mean. As much as this information is designed to bring awareness to how we listen, hear, and process, it is also a form of therapy. The little person inside of all of us needs to be heard. As adults, even listening to ourselves is a form of healing, strengthening, and growth. It's okay to speak, talk, express yourself, and be heard, even if you're the only listener. If our testimony does anything at all for anyone else, that makes the continued effort worth the time. Get the words out. You'll feel better, and that's a promise. Thanks for tuning in. We really appreciate it.
You know, sometimes it seems like all the good times are gone. But you got to keep on searching. You got to keep on keeping on. Keep on keeping on. For example, take me standing right here today. I would not be here with you if I believed the things that the people say. You got to keep on searching. Keep on searching. Keep it on.
Cool sound.
Keep on looking around.
Good night, everybody. Thank you. Appreciate you.